Hello everyone, and today I'm gonna be doing a Valorant agent tier list, and yeah, so I'm gonna be ranking them not just based on not based on because it's not gonna be fair to compare like let's say a Reyna or a Jet to like a Cypher because different roles. So I'm gonna be placing them based on their roles, like where I think they are in their roles, not just as an agent itself. Um, Let me move my webcam there. Okay, so starting off with Breach. Breach, I think with his buff where double shockwave and flashes are really good. I think he's honestly for initiator A tier, especially if you play him. But he's mainly just a double initiator for in my opinion. Unless you're playing him maybe on a sunset, but even sunset, I think having a sky would be helpful as well. Brim, Brim, I think I'm gonna put him at B because I think for Brim, ranked is pretty simple, especially like as that fill controller, just because like it's pretty simple for you to play him. Just tap where you want the smoke to go, and it'll go. He has Molly, Stim. It's pretty easy to play him, especially for ranked. But I think in terms of maps for him to play, especially with like Fracture being out, maps for him to be able to play is getting limited. And I think there's only like one map that you might play him on. So yeah. Cypher, I think Cypher is honestly A tier with his buff, or maybe even S. Honestly, in terms of Sentinel, I think I'm gonna put him. No, I'm gonna leave him at A. Just because of the fact that especially with his trips being able to recharge, his cam is pretty really good now. Or it's the same, but with his strips are the main thing. Just because now you actually are forced to break it. You can't just kind of let it, like your teammate die for it. And the recharge time for the trips are really good as well. So Jet, I think I think Jet is still A tier. And maybe B, A or A. I'm gonna put him at low A for now. Either low A or high B, just because I think for like take Ascent, she's probably still gonna be like a main duelist. Just because it's a map that's pretty much really good for her, and it's still in the point where she can still create space, right? She's mainly just used for space though, but if you use it correctly, especially like in a coordinated setting, I think she can get a lot of value just because she can dash in, and even if her smoke only lasts 2 seconds, if you feel like you need a second one, you can add another one, and you can place down another one, and you have 4 seconds instead of just two. um and KJ, I think S tier. I think she's still really good. Even if the only change that really happened was 9 orbs, which is a big difference actually. But I think in terms of like just value that she gets, though, it's still not a big enough like nerf for it to take her out, I guess. Omen, let's see. Omen, what else is there? Viper. I think Omen's S. Omen's S just because like he's good for ranked, but he's also good for a coordinated setting. Because his smokes are good. He has a flash that can be really good paired up. You can't really dodge it unless you move out of the way. He has his TPs. His ult can get quite a lot of value just for like recon, but also like if you lose the spike somewhere, you can pick it up pretty easily. So yeah. Phoenix. Hmm. I think Phoenix. I'm gonna put him at B, low B. Um, Actually, ah, honestly, C. I think like if you can definitely use him, right? But I don't think he's ideal to use. Like obviously, there's people that can use him. But just in team coordinate setting, especially with his flashes. I mean, I guess Paper X showed that you can definitely use him, but I think just overall his flashes are not the best, or they're really good, but like I feel like I could definitely use somebody else that if I want good flashes. His Molly isn't the best. He doesn't have his ult is definitely pretty good, but not the best. Um, so just in terms of duelist, I think he's the one that definitely brings like the less value in team environment, other than maybe like Reyna. So Raze is us, especially with the Jet nerfs. Even though she did get nerfed, I don't think it's a big enough nerf for it to bring her down in a way where it actually makes her worse than Jet. I think in like Ascent, Jet is better and that kind of stuff. But like most maps, just Raze is better, just because her satchel was mainly used for entry either way. Her boombot still can get info. Her nade is still impactful, just like clear corners and just creating space. And her ult is also like her ult's still really good. So although sometimes it can be the worst ult ever. Reina. Now, are we talking about ranked or are we talking about pro? Because ranked, it can be like anywhere. It can be anywhere from S to D. Because like you sometimes have that teammate that can't do anything. But I'm gonna put her at B. I think I think she's better than Phoenix just because like she can heal herself. Like if you're gonna play Phoenix, I'd rather you play Reina because they're both kind of like selfish in their own ways. But if you're gonna play like a selfish character, might as well just play like the most selfish character, Reina, because like in terms of being selfish, Reina will get a lot more value than Phoenix, and she has like her own heal. She can escape from deadly places if she gets a kill. Her ult is just pretty much like a booster for your confidence, and yeah, and she has flashes, not the best flashes, probably like one of the worst flashes in the game, maybe other than Gecko. Sage. Sage, I think I'm gonna put it as C, just because I don't see a lot of people playing her anymore. I think she can definitely be helpful if used correctly, especially like in a map like Split. I think most importantly, because you don't have to waste the smoke for you to cross. Her slows are really helpful in those chokeholds. For you to slow them down, and her heal is pretty helpful. Not definitely not as much for herself, but more for her teammates. So he can definitely be used well. Sky's S tier. Um, Even though there is the nerf that they did to her dog, I think it's still not enough for her to not be S tier. Just because she can be played as a solo initiator, like she's probably the best solo initiator there is. Just because she has flashes, she has her dog and her flash for intel. She has heal and she has ult that gives her intel. So like just really good overall. Sova, I'm gonna put her at I think I'm gonna put him at B. I think Sova is not the best character for the current meta right now. I think for Ascent he is definitely helpful, but other maps I don't see him. Like Sunset, I think I would take Fade over him. So I think until when Icebox or Icebox or maybe Fracture, like EG show did pretty good with him. So I think until those maps maybe come back, then I think he's gonna be kind of like not being played too much unless it's Ascent. Viper, huh? I think Viper is A, because especially if you run her like a double, you run her in Split, you run her in Lotus, and you run her in Breeze. Especially Breeze, she's pretty much just a solo controller. Um, and her even though it got nerfed to 9, she's still really impactful in team scenarios. She still has Molly's wall. She still has her orb. So I think in team scenarios, she can still definitely be really good in cutting off space from the enemy team. Now Yoru, dude, I have a really like love hate relationship with him because he can be like Yoru is that I'm gonna put him at H. If it would be S, it would be S if people could like like mastered him as much as they mastered like Raze, Jet, Reyna, that kind of stuff. Because Yoru, I think if you master Yoru, he's if one of the best, if not the best, like duelist in the game, just because of the value that he can get in terms of his clone can get like a lot of he can get intel. He has flashes that it can be used for himself and his team or his team. He has TPs that can get him pretty much across the map, like fast rotates or just like to get it to end up in a unexpected scenario. So I think Euro can definitely, and his ult is pretty much just free info. So yeah, Astra, Astra. I think S as well. Like Astra and Omen are pretty much just S tiers or smokes, just because like you can alternate between them. There's like this rivalry between them of like where Omen's best. Like Split, you can run either Astra or Omen. What's Sunset, Astra Omen, and Haven, Astra Omen. You know, like so there's this like in between. So Harbor, I'm gonna put the same thing as Viper, especially because of his ult. His ult is still only 7 ult orbs, I'm pretty sure. He has wall that can be manipulated. He has a cove that can be used for space and entry to help entry your team. And he has like the orb thing, so or is that the cove? I don't remember. But he has an orb that can be used for like spike or just like pretty much like if you don't have like a second smoke, I guess you can, or like and you need an extra smoke, just you can kind of use it as smoke. Not ideal, but you know. KO. I think KOS honestly. KO can get so much value for like team wise because of his flashes. His knife is free intel. if somebody breaks it, you know at least there's at least one. If it doesn't get anybody, you know that place is pretty much cleared. If it does hit somebody, well, yeah, you know there's somebody there. And his ult is really helpful. It pretty much just makes it a CS:GO round for them. He has a nade, so like he's a CS:GO per character pretty much. So yeah, and he can pretty much give your team a really big advantage because Valorant, especially now where like ability is getting a lot more used in a coordinated scenario. If you take away the Yuto, it's pretty much a free round. So Chamber. Chamber, honestly, I think I'm gonna put him at A. I think we're gonna be seeing him a lot more this year in 2024, or not this year, I guess next year. But next season in the 2024 season, I think we're definitely gonna see him a lot more, just because I think people are gonna figure out how to use him a lot better, and his op is still an op. He still has a trip, which is kind of like a KJ. Um, I definitely think like the maps that we're gonna see him the most is probably like let's see. Probably Bind is probably gonna be the map that we see him the most. Sunset, I can definitely see us like seeing him being played, and Split maybe a Lotus as well. So yeah, definitely gonna be interesting. Neon's the only character. I mean, I think low elo wise, I think she could be like higher, but I think high elo, when people are like more used to playing for speed and that kind of stuff, I think her ult is pretty useless. Her wall doesn't get too much value. I guess you can kind of get value. Her stuns can definitely make a big value, but if you want to play a stun character, I think it's better to just play like Breach. I think Breach is better to have than Neon, just because he has flashes, he has stuns, he has like So I just think I don't think Neon can get as much value compared to like any duelist. So I don't think she's worth playing. Fade. I think Fade is gonna go in A as well. Or in B, I mean, just because I think Fade and Silva, I think, can be high A. I think something like that. I think yeah, something like that. Because Fade and Silva are pretty much equal. Just because also like they're pretty much equally used, I think. But just in terms of like the scenario that you might like Sunset and Lotus, you're probably gonna use Fade. Um, Sunset, you're probably gonna use Fade. Fade, I can see Fade being used in Sunset. So I think actually I'm gonna put Fade in front of Sova, just because I think she's used more frequently. I can get more value than Sova, in my opinion. So Gecko. Oh, wrong character. I think C. I don't think he's D. His flashes are pretty much his Dizzy's useless. His Amali is better, not the best, better though. Um, his O, I guess his O can be kind of useful. Um, can still get intel even if you miss, and his wingman is probably his most useful ability other than and his O. So I don't think he's. I think he's C. I don't think he's D. Deadlock is definitely D. Right now she's useless. Nothing you can do with her. So yeah, no need. I don't think it needs an explanation. And ISO or ISO. Yeah, ISO, I guess. ISO, I'm gonna put her in. ISO, I'm gonna put him in like with. I think I'm gonna put him in high B. I think he's better than Reina because of the fact that he is a selfish character, but he reminds me a little bit of more like a Euro style, where he can still use his ability to help people with his like wall. His ult is like his ult can be can be really good if you're like if you're like 3v4 and you need to get an extra pick, or maybe if you're low and it's a 1v1, so you ult just to have like the fair 1v1. So I definitely think he can be useful. I can definitely see him being used. So yeah. But anyways, this is my tier list. If you do agree, then make sure to comment down below, and if you do disagree, make sure to comment down below why you disagree and what you would change about it. And yeah, as always, if you did enjoy my video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on that bell notification. So yeah, and I'll see you all next time.